Welcome back, everybody. That cut a little short there. Don't know what happened there, but welcome back. It's your boy Zeus.
I was rocking midway out. I was like, "Oh, damn! What?
I was like, whoa! I wasn't ready for that. I guess we are no choice but to be ready for the second edition of the Hop This Wei Show. I'm your boy Zeus. Welcome back again for the second edition. Matt Chua, how you doing, Matt?
It's good to be back. How you been, Zeus?
Brother, I'm doing just great, man. And
saw you yesterday at Clubhouse.
I'm jonesing here for some Hopway action for a season 3. Still dying, but we got ourselves another fan here, all the way from Brazil. Rebecca Nishi, how are you?
Hey.
Hi, guys. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with us and sharing your love for the show like so many of us have. Rebecca, can you tell us a little bit about yourself before we get going?
Well, I half Japanese, half Italian, born Brazil.
Wow.
Practitioner of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, yoga, and obsessed of Bruce Lee. And now I'm just obsessed of warrior too.
Awesome. That's great. And so what was it that grabbed you about Warrior?
Sorry?
What was it that spoke out to you the most about Warrior? Can I see it, Stephanie?
I don't know. It's so like a love statement for Bruce Lee. The show is so high quality and fighting scenes so good. The development of the characters are so great. You know, the show is high quality in all levels. It's so good to see, so good to watch it.
Hell yeah.
It really is, and it's so great to see that it encompasses this globe so well. We also have Stephanie Young joining us. Stephanie, how are you?
I actually made it all the way from Boston to Hawaii, so I had to rock my Warrior, of course.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow. I am super jealous. That is absolutely a gorgeous shirt. Steph, thank you for joining us as well. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Steph, and how you got on the Warrior train.
Well, I'm born and raised in Boston. I'm biracial, so like I've written in our group plenty that I'm the half Asian kid, but I don't look it. So
Me too.
Every day. Why do you think in Hawaii I get here and everybody just thinks I'm local? I'm like, all right. So yeah, I mean, but everybody's like so mixed Asian here, and that's why it's crazy. And there are a lot of characters, a lot of Asian, actually a lot of Asian celebrities that are from Hawaii, mixed Asian. So for me, I mean, there really hasn't been anything. And I'm saying it. I'm 51. I'm going to be 52. So being of this age, I'm the kid that went to the old kung fu movies with my dad and my grandfather, going to Chinatown. This is Boston Chinatown in, growing up 70s, 80s. And, I'm the one going up to the old mahjong places where they're playing all the mahjong and they're all clacking and all the, we didn't know a lot of Toy Sunnies, so they would make fun of us and everything. But anyways, I'm that kid, so we didn't really have anything. We didn't have a lot of representation. So this, I got emotional. I mean, I got into it, I somehow don't know how I missed when season 2 went live, and I geeked out. I missed it. I was late and I just binged it. So I was right on top of season 1. Season 2 blew my mind, but season 2 was where a lot of other things came together for me.
Mm. Like what?
Hun Lee. I'm from Massachusetts. He's from Plymouth, Massachusetts. I mean, and I had also watched Banshee. So watching Banshee, seeing him in Mulan, it's just every bit of like my Asian genes. All right. Even going back to Mulan, like Jason Scott Lee, mixed Asian, and he's from Hawaii. I mean, there's so much that just hits you. So having him in this, being, I mean, the fact that Shannon Lee is biracial and the same age as me, I mean, this all hits home. So growing up, the daughter of hippies, like seriously, they my white dad was the one who took Tai Chi, took Kung Fu. He took, and again, this is why everything hits home. He took classes with Bo Sim Mak, Donnie Yen's mother.
Come on.
What?
Wow.
He was basically the one who got wushu to the US.
Wow.
And she lives in Newton, Massachusetts. So this is like so relevant and connected for me. And my dad was the one who actually did study Chinese. My mom really didn't. So I'm the Asian who only speaks mishmash. So hearing bits of, I can definitely hear tones without being fluent, hearing tones of Toisanese and Cantonese, and I'm not fluent, but hearing it in a show is just, it just hits me. It just hits me.
Yeah.
It really, really hits home. And I don't know if anybody saw the Geek Out post when I put up a Geek Out post.
Not sure.
Okay. I'm following Perry Young, Father Jun, on Instagram.
We all are. He's such a sweetheart.
I mean, the flute. I mean, the flute playing just hits me to the core because my dad played. I mean, it's just insane. So I'm binging I'm on round 2 of the whole series, and when you finally start to pay attention to little things, because I just geek out like a little kid. But the characters, the Chinese characters for everybody's name are in the credits. So you have Anglo names where it's spelling out, it's sounding out their name. And then, but those who are Asian, you see the Asian names. And so you see Perry Young come across, and all of a sudden I see his Chinese name, and his is Y-U-N-G. And I geeked out. I screeched because when my mother passed away, here it is, the top one, the Young.
Okay.
So we're Young. I sent him an Instagram DM. I'm like, Perry, you're a Young. I'm a Young. We could be cousins. But it was just such a wait a minute. And he told me that his 2 older brothers went back to the village where we were from and went to the whole gate that has our family name on it. And he had never made it back. So this is so personal. And I mean, then you just get into the rest that Atoy, the original Atoy person, is from Toisan. I mean, the geek out moments are insane. Okay. And the fact that really, Andrew and Jason, 2 leading men, are biracial.
Biracial. Yeah. Yeah. Which is
jumping up and down, screeching. I'm like, what?
No, I do want to ask this because I think everyone on the panel here is biracial. I'm the only non-Asian biracial, which is weird. The host of this show, I said it last time. It's weird hosting the show and not being Asian at all. But as everyone on this panel is biracial, do you all find it difficult fitting in with one culture, like one of your halves? Because I have a hard time. I found myself having a hard time fitting in with the white side and fitting in with the black side because both looked at me as something that not them. I'll go to you first, Rebecca. How is it in Brazil?
Yes, I feel like I don't fit anywhere sometimes because in here people see me as Japanese. But if I go to Japan, they will see me as Brazilian, not Japanese at all. Because if you're biracial, if you're mixed, you already, worse than a dog.
Right.
You're not Japanese at all. So it's hard sometimes because I feel like I don't have a land. I belong to nowhere, really. And I didn't meet my grandparents, the Japanese grandparents. They have died before I was born. So I didn't get much of the culture from them. Like I don't speak Japanese, for example. And people kind of expect this for me, that I bring this culture with me, and sometimes I feel like I don't attend to the expectations of people, you know.
Mm.
So I just can't be myself, just Rebecca. If I go to somewhere, anywhere, and the person is speaking to me for the first time, they will always ask about my origins. You know, like
Yeah.
you're descendant of what? Chinese, Vietnamese, Japanese? What are you? You know, I can't be just Brazilian, just Rebecca.
Right. And I feel that we see characters, and even though he's fully Chinese in the show, but we look at Young June, and I feel like I feel like that part of me, the biracial part of me, identifies with him being Chinese but being born in America. So a lot of people looked at him differently, right? Um, Matt, what about you? What's your experience been like?
It almost kind of feels like being on the island of misfit toys.
Yep.
I mean, that's pretty much what it is, because it's, for me personally, like it's cool, and it took a while for me to actually like be comfortable with it and embrace it, because
Right.
for many years it was like, well, you don't lean to one particular side or you don't lean towards the other, and then whoever is on, you know, the other ends of the spectrum are kind of like, you're not entirely like us, and it's just like, but I am. I
Right.
mean, like, so yeah, I think for a lot of people, it's kind of like the whole round peg, square hole, whatever you want to call it, type of deal. And after a while, it gets tiresome. It really does.
Mm.
And it just took a lot of years to finally get comfortable with, like, you know what, I don't give a fuck. This is
Right.
this is who I am. This is what I embrace. Here is my race. This is what I entirely look like. You either, like it for who I am, the values I bring, what I represent, or you can fuck off. One of the two.
Yeah.
There really isn't like
Yeah, for sure.
really isn't like a whole in the middle type of deal, because we are the line. Like, that tightrope. We're the tightrope. That's
Yeah.
pretty much what it is.
Steph, what do you feel? Is there a place for us in the middle? Do we have, as biracial, are we our own sect? Like, are we our own people, if you will, or because I find it, like I said, it feels so weird sometimes, and I personally, so far, I'm loving everything you're saying. So I really want to hear your take on this.
I could go on for days. I will try and be nice and succinct.
I feel like we all could, honestly.
Right.
And at this age, and especially growing up in a city, and I mean, again, the age and the fact that I had the parents that I had. So I had parents who took me to Woodstock when I was 2 months old. Okay. So not really conventional parents. My dad was the one, and he's the one who's white. He's the one who really perpetuated more. So, and he's the one who's Buddhist. And, so it tipped the scales, so my mom, had her own mode, and I love her to death, but, I mean, until she passed away, still love her, but they weren't very structured. So you think of the time that I'm growing up. So you have civil rights. I mean, my father was protesting. I mean, they were active. So I launched right into, I mean, race issues. So you're in grade school in a city, and thankfully my parents wanted us to be in Brookline, Massachusetts. It's its own township. It's very mixed.
Mm.
And great education. So there were other mixed kids around. So we had a good foundation in that way. There was still bullying because there were Chinese kids that looked at me like, well, you don't look Chinese.
And Mark Wahlberg still lived there at the point, right? So,
well, yeah, I got plenty of that. And then, unfortunately, where do you think it came from? White folks really exoticizing Asian women. And even though they couldn't identify, it's always that, well, what are you? I have a serious reaction to the term exotic. Can't stand it, can't stand it, can't stand it. Because in business. Okay. I mean, and that's why the ambiguity has hurt me and helped me. Okay. It has helped me
Facts.
because I went to Brazil. I went to Rio. I learned a few phrases in Portuguese, and I'm sitting there and everybody thinks I'm local. I'm like, great. I was careful, but that means, sensible, because I come from a city. So, I could meld in and out. Some people think I'm Cape Verdean. A lot of people think I'm Hawaiian, but that's vague because a lot of people here are mixed Asian.
Yeah.
Okay. So it wasn't until college I get here on exchange, and there were people that looked like me because everybody's mixed Asian. I mean, a lot. And, that was a huge, oh, wait a minute, not saying that there's a place, but I had arguments with friends in college. I had arguments with white, Black, Asian. Okay. Not so much Asian, because unfortunately, what usually happens, how well do we know that a lot of our Asian folks stick to themselves? So that in school, usually I wasn't dating somebody Asian because I wasn't full Chinese. At that age, I wasn't full Chinese. The Chinese boys dated Chinese girls. They did. It was just a fact. So it's definitely affected me growing up. As an adult, I've always been vocal, but being from a city, I mean, and let's just insert, I'm such a hip hop kid. So I'm like hip hop generation. I am literally like always still following DJ Maceo. Like I have, I will always be that kid. So I'm the hip hop kid. That also means that I got jabs of, well, you're not Black. Are you appropriating? So
you're speaking my fucking language right now. Jesus.
I am all over the place to a fault, but also to benefit.
Yeah.
I get those jabs. I always have never disrespected, but the same way you're biracial and half Black, think of the one drop rule. People don't think about how it applies to us. They don't ever come across to that when my grandfather was here, he had to go back to China to marry someone.
Right.
He could not marry someone here. That affected a whole chain of things. None of that is brought into the discussions that happen of how people treat us, and the ambiguity of me being Asian. I even with my last corporate job, I went to a diversity and inclusion event, and it was amazing. But I even went to approach the new head of diversity and inclusion at an event. I got the brush off. I really kind of felt like I wasn't appearing relevant. And unfortunately, it is always that Black-white equation. And it's not brought to Asian. And yet I've touched everything. I support Black businesses like you don't even know if you all of everything over my life. And now at this stage of what's happening is I'm having a lot of hard conversations with people because they don't recognize me as Asian as loud as I've been. They still have sort of snuck by, leaving me as the ambiguous one.
Yeah.
And I've been the loud one. I've been loud. So now I'm having these conversations, especially with the violence. I said, this is not new, and this is not just because of coronavirus. There's a huge level of animosity towards Asians, and I'm loud.
Yeah. I'm really loving.
I'm like reposting Perry's posts all angry, and he's like,
yeah, that's what I've been.
That's what I was going to say.
I've been doing all that too.
And I'm loving that Perry's posting all that stuff about how BLM is teaming up.
Yeah.
With this cause as well, and just
a majority of the cast is actually putting up a lot of different stuff, and that funny enough, like that was where I first got like known to that. I was like, wait, what? Like I knew of it, but I didn't really like realize the severity of it until I like went down that deep hole. And it's like, oh, we're doing this? No.
Right.
Then I started, being loud as well, kind of bringing everything to the forefront.
Like, I mean, bring it back to even the topic of Chinatowns. I even had a conversation with one friend of mine because in my dream world, because I need to get things going and taking care of things here. In my dream world, if something lands in my lap, I want to have a condo in Chinatown in Boston. That would bring things home for me because my grandfather was the mahjong guy in Chinatown in Boston. And Chinatown has never been like think about where the history is. Watching Warrior and the fact that, that was the only place Chinese folks could live. There's that really still doesn't sink home to people as far as the history, because our history has been glossed over.
It really has.
Mhm.
And I can't truly speak to it from your side of it, but I get it. I feel like Asians and African Americans have gone through, and I'm sorry, that's probably the only time you'll ever hear me say African Americans. I grew up in Canada. I refer to myself as black, and so you'll hear me say black. But yeah, I feel that black and Asian, we've gone through so many similarities. And one thing I love, and you see that I'm sharing here some of Perry's post on Instagram there. But what I love about Canada is we have this thing called heritage moments growing up, and little commercials where they show us different moments in Canadian history to be proud of or not so proud of. And one of them that they showed us at a young age was the mining and the railroads that were being built. And it sticks with me to this day, is them sending a Chinese worker into the mines with dynamite to go blow it up. And then it blows up and they think he dies. And then, of course, he walks out all covered in soot and everything. But that was, you get it through the commercial, that was the minority of times that would happen. This, like, we talk about slavery and the things that went on with blacks, but we weren't the only ones.
Mhm.
We definitely weren't the only ones. And it's just, I feel, I've always felt it. I don't know if it sounds hyperbolic or not, but like, I've always felt that kinship, if that makes sense, because I feel like we've all had that shared history where we're trying to get that respect or that equality. And that's it. And when I say equality, I mean, I'm not looking for more. I'm not looking for less. I want to, and I don't want you to lose out because I'm getting. I just want to be at the same table. And I think that's a lot of us feel the same way. And Warrior, I feel, is bringing us back to that, because this show is touching so many people. And you're seeing white, black, Asian, Latino, all people kind of get on board with this and see what's happening and start to hear the true story of how things were back then and how influential Chinese were in the development of California, never mind San Francisco, all of America. But, it seems to have branched out from San Francisco, and just a great show. And I honestly thank Jen and Bruce for what they've given us. Now that's it. While we get into what we're actually here for today and talk about episode 2, there is no China in the Bible. Okay, episode 1 obviously blew everybody away. First episode, we get to meet Assam, we get to meet Long Zi, the Hop Wei, and lines are drawn. We meet the Irish. Now we're starting to get into the story in the thick of things. And things start off the bat in this episode with the Long Zi going to try to pick up a few things from Chow that they think. But they kind of get sold out. They get sold out by the cop. And these 3 men, my favorite 3 musketeers, Young Jun, and of course Assam, are so badass. They go in for this big setup. Obviously, they trap these guys. They make quick work of them, and they're on their way. What do you guys? Now, I hear from a lot of people that the violence is one of the things that sticks out for them. I think the violence in the show, and this, I don't mean to sound like a sociopath, but I feel it's beautifully done.
Absolutely.
Sense.
If anybody watched like Hannibal, like from NBC, and how they like almost used violence as like a canvas to like paint the entire thing, Warrior does the same thing. It's like it's not senseless. It pushes the story forward and continues it, and it serves plot points for it's. Woo!
Right.
And that slow motion walk with those 3 as they're like taking their jackets off or whatever.
Right.
I'm like, that's the most badass thing in the world. And then because Young Jun, that's when I was sold right there on him, man. He was
Well, he
Oh,
kills
the
that
knives.
one guy, and he just keeps stabbing him at the end. And Bolo's like, I think he's dead. And he pulls up and goes,
Yo,
Now
all
he
three of them
is.
were fucking shit up, and I'm just like, that's it. I'm good. This is it. This show right here. That's it. I'm finished, man.
I
I'm
made
hooked.
I made a meme photo this week. That is, if it's not for fighting, well dressed, I don't even go.
Right. I love it. I love it. So, now they go into here and they stop the Long Z from getting their molasses. We'll call it. We'll keep calling it molasses. Black tar. But then they burn it because it. And I love what Jason Tobin says in this part right here. And he's just like, listen, we're not thieves. We're here to send a message. And he burns it all.
He lights up 3 cigarettes on the fire.
That's
Yo,
right.
I'm telling you, man. The
yeah.
fucking certified definition of this gangster, man. Oh,
Such a badass. And
So good.
honestly, I say this every time, I can't tell you how much of a badass Ricky Ting is as Bolo. Like, if we get a season 3, I need a prequel episode, or just give Bolo his own prequel series because he's such a badass. I need to know more about that character.
the yellow demon.
The Yellow
Yeah.
Demon.
The yellow demon.
And what was it? The White Mountain or something like that? That episode?
I don't know. I just heard that fucking nickname. I was like, that is the chillest thing I've ever heard.
And I remember interviewing him, and he said that you remember in that one episode he's carrying not the tire iron, the stake
Yeah.
from the railroad tracks. That was his idea. He pitched that to John Dropper, and Dropper's like, yeah, I love it. Let's do it. So that's
Yellow
another
demon.
thing I love about the show is JT is such a great showrunner and writer. Like
Ugh.
anyone who's watching Banshee, if you haven't watched Banshee before, I've watched it. That's why I watched this show. I followed Shannon Lee already on Instagram, and then when I saw her and JT were working together, I was like, oh shit! And they got Hoon. So,
I bet. I mean, Job, the character Job, is just everything.
Yeah, there he is.
there's the badass right there.
What? Look at him. I mean, he was just so fierce. It was just insane. It was insane. And I mean,
he is low key the MVP of that entire show.
And that's what I say. This show is so strange because every week you can say there's a different MVP on that show. You can say he's the heart and soul of the show through the entire thing. It could be Tobin one week. It could be Officer Lee the next week. You know, like there's so many. A toy. How is a toy?
Oh,
Like oh my god!
The fucking assassin.
I gotta tell you,
her and she had, and she's now, being, her own activism has really, blossomed, and like she was doing like on a trampoline, doing like a split, and sending a message. I just love all of them. I love all of them.
Yeah,
She's just, but her scene. Oh God, I can't. Her wardrobe.
Yeah,
She's a goddess.
And she deserved the wardrobe after some of the shitty wardrobe they gave her on Marco Polo. Or lack of any wardrobe at all. Fantastic actress, fellow Canuck. I'm always happy to see another Canadian making it big and doing well. And I watched her as well on the show Deadly Secrets, I think it was called. It was a sci-fi show. Only lasted 1 year. Her and B.D. Wong. Wait, there's 2 B.D. Wongs, right?
No, there's Benedict Wong.
Benedict
Wong.
Wong. I'm sorry, Benedict Wong, not B.D. Wong. Benedict Wong from Doctor Strange.
Yes,
he was the lead character in that, and he was also in Marco Polo as Kublai Khan. Yes. So this show is great, but so we talked a little bit about how Officer Lee could be a little bit of the heart and soul of this show as well at times. But in this episode, we got to see that he was a little funky, Can we say? He likes to get his hands dirty, to say the very least. First forensic scientist? I don't know. Like he's got a head behind him.
That's some dirty hands right there. Look at that. Look at that. All up in the guts.
And on this scene, Bill asks him, "Am I disturbing you? Are you good? What are you doing? Are you having fun?"
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, well, and then he starts to go into his whole like forensic scientist bit right there, about he must have been really close or good with a sword to get it that deep, because when I'm butchering a pig, I got to get through bones. And I love
kind of a nerd.
Right. And I love how he relates everything back to the Old South, which seems, bittersweet for him as we learn going on through the series.
Mm-hmm.
Now, moving on from there, of course, we get one of the baddest motherfuckers on the planet, Joe Taslim, show up. And he's like, yo, and Lee's like, yeah, I guess I'm up in these bodies now. What do you think of Taslim when you first seen him in here? Especially this second episode, we're starting to learn a lot more about his character and his influence.
He can murder me in my sleep. That is literally like the first vibe I got when he just walks just very calmly. I'm just like, yeah, he can definitely murder me.
Yeah. Like he was Sub-Zero before we knew he was Sub-Zero.
Oh, absolutely.
I watching his facial expressions. I'm like, ooh, okay. He has a lot of good ones. Like, okay, what's going on? You can tell he was catching things. He's, they really made sure you knew he's observing, he's a player, he is part of this, and he's going to be significant.
Yeah,
his facial expressions, like actors with really good facial expressions, that he definitely does it throughout this entire show. And it's just like little like tweaks here, like at the eye or like the nose or like an eyebrow thing here or there, a little smirk. I'm just like
a little dark there, but just even right here in that last scene,
yeah, look at him.
The cop pulls a gun on him, and he's just like, okay, gives that smirk back to Chow, like, is this guy for real? Does he know what's about to happen right now?
That's some scary shit. You just gonna smile and be like, okay, what? I'm gonna put this shit away. You have a good night. I'm fucking out of here.
He has this calmness of the real martial artist that, like, I could kill you, silently with just one stroke, and that's it.
Leong is the calm before the storm. That is pretty much what he is. He is a walking calm.
But anyone who's been in a fight or been around fighters, you always know the most dangerous dudes in the room were the quietest ones.
Absolutely.
The ones that have that smirk on their face all the time and that are just kind of watching everybody and just like, okay. Because like even Assam's a bit of that, right?
Not really.
He gets melty later, but I think for the most part he's pretty quiet until like
he's
think of episode 5.
He's
self-confident, but he's like
he's definitely not afraid to talk back.
That's true. That's true.
He's a rebel.
So we move on in the episode, and we finally get to meet Jacob. Well, I mean, like we briefly met Jacob before, but this was kind of our big scene with him. Him trying to get Penelope away from Assam and young June earlier on, saying, "Oh, hey, missus, let's move away." And then, of course, they get confronted, as we saw in the scene here. And sadly, this seems to be what America's dealing with a lot right now, as well as a lot of Asian violence for, just for the sake of it.
Exactly. Just walking in the wrong walk side. So I just gonna beat you. Shoot me here.
How did this make you guys feel though when you see that episode? Did that resonate with you guys at all? I know a lot of us had seen this before the most recent attack, but these attacks have been going on decades. Like I'm 45 and I can't remember a time where I haven't seen attacks on Asians. So like when you see that, did it resonate?
Oh, absolutely. The big part about, I think this is a no-brainer, but I'll say it, Warrior shows Asian men and Asian women strong, okay? And
Yes.
taking no shit. And I
Way
don't
we
know
should be.
where, again, we know that it's the model minority myth and it's all propaganda, but it worked. Okay.
Yeah.
So that is really what happened, is that it worked. And I don't know any submissive or docile Asians. I really don't. It's immigrant mentality of, when to keep your head down, or that whole mode of don't get involved.
Right.
That doesn't mean it's not a badass. And I'll give you a quick example. I was in Boston, Chinatown. It was after hours. It was 2 a.m. And we're in this one place that's known for cold tea. Cold tea meaning they're serving alcohol after 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, I did not know that. Right on. I like it.
So it's a Boston thing in Chinatown. There's one place, but it's also a place that we would always go for dim sum with my grandfather. So I know most of the folks, but this is after hours, after a club, and I'm with my ex and two people. And then, you see there was a black man and a white woman. And then you see, plenty of a mixed crowd, but then you see a table full of Asians. At one point, the two women went to the bathroom, a white woman and an Asian woman from the table. Something must have happened because they came out and they were still arguing. And apparently the boyfriend came to defend the woman. I don't know what this man was thinking, but why would you think that you're that invincible to step to a table? No, it was more like two tables full of Asian men. So he went like on the offensive because of this fight with his girlfriend, and all of a sudden chairs are flying and that man was on the ground and chairs are being slammed on top of him. Like there's a
Damn.
serious underestimation of Asian people until it matters. And that's
Mhm.
it. So notice how they're not going after any younger folk. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going for who they know is going to be weaker. And it's a societal thing of, you know what? It's okay to make fun of Asians and their language. It's okay to make fun of these things. People joke about it, which is why I'm loud at this age. I'm loud. I'm loud. Okay. But that's behavior that then enables, making fun of it. Everybody has Chinese tattoos. I'm also I'm the person who went on RZA, whoever doesn't know who RZA is from Wu-Tang, and kind of called him out for really appropriating and posting the Japanese rising sun flag. So, these are people, it's okay to do these things. It's okay to, for people to take portion of it and not show the respect to the people. So the culture is very exoticized. You get all of the benefits without giving us the representation. And that's every bit of those scenes. That's what it feels like.
Wow.
What it feels like. And I'm just gotten so used to it. I'm like, I've got that thick skin, that level of like, I'm ready for an argument sometimes with it. Unfortunately,
Yeah. And I feel like the last 4 or 5 years, everyone's been so polarized and on that defensive and ready to scrap. It feels like we're just finally starting to get past some of that. But there's still so much to do. So much to do.
I've done that with some friends. I really have been loud on Facebook saying, using certain things, saying, okay, do you enjoy Asian food? Do you get Asian tattoos? Do you all do all of these things? Well, why aren't you, I've supported all of your causes. Why aren't you being vocal about this? And the first thing to do is actually start having some conversations with Asian people. I'm not going to speak for everybody. People need to speak to people they know and have the valuable conversations
Right.
to understand this and have our back. Instead of, unfortunately, I'm seeing a lot of really bad shit on there. I'm really seeing it. Like I've had one friend who reached out to me, asked me if I wanted to be on a panel discussion of the intersectionality of the violence in Black, Brown, and Asian. And because of the person who was sending it, I declined, because this is a person who proceeded to post articles stating, well, Asians are being told don't compare this to BLM. And it's this whole thing, and it's like we're not even allowed to have what's happening to us be recognized as what's happening to us.
Mm.
And so until it can be really spoken about and looked in deeply, this is going to be bad.
Yeah.
This is going to be bad.
Mhm.
And that's the States. It's and Canada. We're not much different either, because we're basically your little brother there. You know, we do almost all the same stuff as you, but there's some stuff we're like, oh shit, that's our brother. We're not like we don't do that. But Rebecca, what about you in Brazil? What is it? What's the climate like there toward Asians?
We don't have this kind of hate,
Oh, that's beautiful.
being, yes, but it happened before during the World War.
Right.
Yes, because Brazil took part of the I don't know how to say in English, but support Britain, the alliance,
Yeah. The access.
Allies, yeah.
The allies. Yeah.
allies. So
Yeah.
yeah, so the Japanese descendants and German and the Italian here in Brazil um, became to be pursued. We have camps, for Japanese here, as the same happened in United States.
Mhm.
But these kind of things that are happening there to the Chinese doesn't happen here, luckily.
Well,
You
that's
know, our president is like imitator of Trump, but I think,
I'm sorry.
Saw that. I saw that.
yeah, it's very bad. But luckily, Brazilian are to, take everything as a joke. We don't take things too serious. I mean, this part of the thing is not happening here.
That's great to hear. That
Fortunately.
it'd be nice to see the rest of the world get there, and I don't know, maybe one day, maybe it's just the Star Trek fan in me, hoping that one day we're all going to be like, live long and prosper,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I
It's
don't think
not that people don't have
yeah,
prejudice here. It's not that people don't have prejudice
right.
here, but we don't go to this state of violence. Everything ends with a joke.
Right, right. Yeah, and that's I always call that the hockey. Like for us, that's the hockey talk. There's nothing taboo in the hockey world. Like if you play, and it's a lot of sports, I think too. But there, you can say anything to anybody, and it's never meant with malice, and it's some really, really, really bad stuff is said in the locker rooms and on the ice. But
Uh,
yeah, I think it's a matter of it's always intent, really. Though I think it all comes down to intent, and if it's coming from a place of hate, people know it, and
Yep,
that's
absolutely.
shit that people hate, and we need to get rid of, and we need more people to stand up. We saw, to bring it back to episode 2, we saw where the Irish kind of start to pick on Jacob, I should say, Kenneth Polk, that plays Jacob. And Officer Lee, who I keep going back to, steps in and tries to save the day. Unfortunately, he gets put on his rear end, and thankfully, Assam comes along for this save. Uh, Great scene here. Sadly, this is also where Assam gets whacked over the back of the head by Bill and gets arrested. He was in the wrong. Officer Lee sticks up for him here. Doesn't matter at all because he's Asian.
Yep.
Thrown in the clink. And again, this is again where I say, as a black person, that's where I could kind of empathize and feel like, yeah, I hear you. Like this is pretty fucked up. But the show though is so completely the opposite of bringing the shit to light, and it's not fucked up. It's that light that we need to show people, hey, this is the way it's been, And this was hundreds of years ago, and look what's just happening this past January.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yep.
there's just so much. And don't get me started on Lady Gaga's dogs either.
I mean, that's not funny, but like, I mean, oh.
I know. I work for a news station, and we had to report on that, and we got the video of the dog walker when it happened and him getting shot. And it is horrifying. It's more horrifying hearing it than seeing it, honestly. But that's not this world. In this world, at least this is fictional, and we do get some happy moments in here. Unfortunately, Assam going to jail wasn't one of them. And, it got put up to Chow. Chow goes to, Father June and young June, and, he has the power to let him go. He has the power to get him out. But unfortunately, Father June thinks this is a good time because the police are looking for the hatchet man or the sword man that had killed a couple of their own, right? Or a couple of the Irish. So didn't work out, and Assam goes to jail. What are you guys thinking at this point in this show? You're watching this episode. How is it hitting you so far, Matt?
Rage.
Rage.
Just utter rage. Just because because of just the mirroring of this show with how today is, and then just seeing the treatment. Yeah, just there's really no other word to encapsulate it. It's just utter rage, and sitting there is just kind of like, I wish a motherfucker would.
Right.
At this point, and
oh, I have that on a t-shirt.
I believe that. I 100% believe it.
But yeah, it's more. I think that particular episode, nothing I can really say will be able to verbalize the feeling, but it's a lot of emotions, a lot of frustration, rage and everything else like that. Because it's like it's really not as different as the outside world, and it's a little eerie. And it's you're talking about I forget what do they classify this, because even though there's real things going on with the exclusion, what is it, historical fiction, something like that. I think that's what they deem it as.
Sure.
The show. But it's just this is nothing much has changed from all the way back then to now, as we're seeing. And yeah, I'm probably repeating myself, but yeah, rage, fucking rage.
Fuck those guys.
Didn't you get nervous that he didn't say a word and he could actually speak English? I was nervous.
Right.
Why don't he say anything?
And then even right here, same thing happened here when he was approached by the mayor's wife, and he reveals that he can speak English to her, and she's like, "Why don't you say something?" He goes, "What does it matter? I'm John Chinaman. Nobody wants to hear what."
Oh, that really fucked me. That pissed me off the most
English.
when they were like, "Oh, it's John Chinaman." I'm like,
whatever. Yeah.
Fucking really? Come on.
So what kind of emotions, Rebecca, what kind of emotions does this picture bring to you? What do you think when you see these two gentlemen?
Fuck them.
I see the same politicians that still existing now, putting people against each other to manipulate people, as happens to, Black people and Asian that we were talking about earlier. And instead of support each other, they put us against each other. And I read an article the other day. It's Olympic Games for who suffer more,
Exactly.
who suffer more. It doesn't matter. We have to just combat the racism.
Yeah, for sure.
So they manipulate the Irish and the Chinese to be against each other for their own, purpose.
Yeah.
And now,
Go ahead, Stephanie.
sorry, it's too relevant, I
Yeah.
mean, it doesn't take a lot, and we talk all the time about actually having, better history in our schools. Okay. um it's not like and I really still did go to a public school. Okay, so I still at least was taught quite a few things. So we're now seeing this happen in a show that has now happened multiple times. So
Right.
you're seeing this happen in the late 1800s, okay, where you're having basically, he's saying he wants chaos, he wants war, they want war, okay, this benefits them, okay.
Yeah.
Then you jump for model minority myth that was put in place to really pit Asian folks toward, everybody against Asian folks. And now you have it now. So you have it now that you have lovely little orange man who just let everybody Asian be targeted.
Don't
Okay.
even put lovely in front of that. Fuck that
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
Fuck that man.
All
Piece of
over
shit.
again, all over again. Like, this is nothing new. This is why sometimes I'm saying less, because, okay, it's now right in front of our eyes. Unfortunately, generationally, we're seeing a lot of things, How many generations do we need to see this happen and people don't go backwards and understand where it came from?
Yeah.
And that means, unfortunately, you're waiting till even an older faction of like the corrupt 70-year-olds and 80-year-olds and 90-year-olds die. But what about the next generation?
Well,
There needs
exactly.
to be ownership.
Well, it's one of those things where they see everything that happens and then they make maybe just a couple baby steps in progress and be like, this clears a majority of things off the list. We should be good, right? Cool. And then it just falls back. And it's just never like that one step forward, 20 fucking thousand steps backwards. And it's like nothing, there's really not a lot of progress because no one's really putting their foot on the fucking throttle to really go past these baby steps where it's like, all right, we're good. We're in a good place. No, we're not. Let's keep it moving.
Yeah. And because, you've got such slimy characters that, but they're portraying something that really has happened now multiple times, and it's happening now. You want to be sick, and the rage comes up all over again at this scheming and how easily everybody's been manipulated, by the white folks in our country.
And social media doesn't help either because now everybody of everyone has a voice, and then and nobody wants to listen to each other.
Yeah.
Because you have like 50 million people where it's like, well, I hear you, but there's like 5,000 people in this group who understand what I'm talking about. So fuck your opinion. You're wrong. And it's just like, whoa, what we doing?
Yeah, those algorithms kind of had a negative effect at that. I don't think a lot of these social media makers had anticipated. Like they were trying to drive the things that we would see towards us so that we would buy other shit that they were being paid to advertise. But instead, it just pushed us, oh, well, you might have clicked like on, I don't know, fucking some Republican said something that you kind of agreed with. The next thing you know, there's another one that's, no, that kind of makes sense. Next thing you know, you're down the fucking rabbit hole watching YouTube with your tinfoil hat on saying, Michelle Obama's a man and fucking the world's being ran by lizard people. Thank you, QAnon. Sorry.
Oh, that wasn't true? Shit. God damn it. I thought this whole thing was true. Fuck.
But so this episode, it didn't end on a very happy note either. We ended up seeing the last scene kind of was, as I showed it before. Oh, it's so dark you can't see it. There is Chong hanging by himself. Of course, there was Liang there. Facing off with the officer that he had paid off originally to go get the heroin. Sorry, molasses. And he kills him and then leaves the body with Chow and says, get rid of this. And Chow's just kind of left dumbfounded. Assam's still in the clink. We're realizing that I don't know why I always forget her name. I want to call her Sophie. but I know that's not her name, Penelope.
Penny.
Penelope Blake. We know that she's in a loveless marriage, and we know that Bill is kind of a dick at this point. So when you guys, can you remember back, because we've all watched this. I've watched this, I think 4 times now, like through both seasons. Can you remember back to the first time, though, when you watched this and at the end of episode 2? Did you have an idea of where the show is going? Because I think I remember thinking, maybe Assam's not really the lead, and maybe he was a red herring that first episode. And, it was going to be somebody else. Like maybe this was actually going to be the Young June show. But what about you guys? How are you feeling going into episode 3? Anybody?
Who wants to take it? Who wants to take it?
I didn't think of that. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I didn't think Assam would be in jail forever. Like I was expecting what's going to happen. Was curious actually.
Right. And you could already see that he was starting to develop that. Well, they teased it the entire episode, but that love interest with Penelope as well. And then they had that big moment there in the jail. So I guess I kind of knew that he was still going to be on as the main.
Yeah,
it seemed like it was more of an ensemble cast than the Assam story. At least it was starting to light up that way, and I feel like it kind of went that way though. What about you, Steph?
I think I agree. I agree with Rebecca. Like I knew that he was still going to be a lead, what I mean? But again, I really didn't. I didn't have a formulated thought of he was. I think it was more of the ensemble, but you can always tell that there's a main character. But I had no idea. I really didn't have any idea he was going to be to this level. I mean,
right.
And you know what? Really, in general, I didn't think that I was really going to get so hooked into each of the characters. I mean, those things happen. They can happen, but I mean, the level that we love them and the dynamics. I didn't really think that it was going to be that deep with each of them. So, I mean, every bit was pleasantly surprising. But when your first impression, I didn't. It was like, okay, all right. So he's going to get out, because we do like him, these things they're going to be twists and turns. So you knew things were going to happen, but no, I didn't have any idea it was going to be like, by the end, we have him up there, like I'm watching every move. And then the nunchuck scene multiple times. I mean, come on. I knew it was going to be to that level ever. Nope.
Yeah. And you talked about the depth of each character, and Matt and I spoke about that in episode 1. I can't give JT enough credit for. Listen, I was a diehard Banshee fan, still am. I've never seen a writer aside from maybe Aaron Sorkin who writes characters as well. And there is not. I've never, including Aaron Sorkin, I don't think I've ever seen a show, Banshee included, where there's never been a throwaway character. Every character has fucking meaning in this show. And they're great. Every single one of them, whether you love them or hate them. They all have their meaning. They all have their purpose. And they all have a story to tell. And to me, JT needs, like, if he should be nominated for an Emmy and a Golden Globe, in my opinion, honestly, for this stuff, because it's that great. Matt?
I think I was just so in the moment and so happy with just the representation. I honestly didn't give a fuck where it was going. I just wanted to see what was happening next episode. So I was like, I love this show. This show is fucking fantastic. Everything about it is like hitting on so many cylinders, and it's like so many personal notes. I'm just like, I need more. And I just went on to the next. So it was, and that was kind of more like my attitude throughout the entire viewing of like the first time. I was just so excited to just see how this was going to unravel. I didn't try and guess shit like I would with other shows. I didn't try to like figure it out. I was just like, whatever is going to happen in front of my face and however the story is going to, unfold, it's going to be. And then for Abba to be that way, I was like, my God. And then again, like we addressed in episode 1, the amount of fucking meat on all these characters is ridiculous. There's not a single bad shitty character on there. Everybody has a fucking backstory. Everybody has enough weight to their character where you feel for him in some type of way. And then and as the show continues, whatever your opinion is of a particular character, that might change within maybe the minutes of the actual episode. Like it really, it's crazy the amount of like feeling and emotion and just the way that this all like cultivates into such great storytelling, and you're just there as like an audience like, fuck, this is so good.
It is.
If you convert it over, like, I mean, again, because I told you I've been putting up posts, I really did in all caps. If you even call yourself a Bruce Lee fan, you cannot, unless you can't do that without actually getting hooked on this show. And so I did my own yelling. But, you know, one of my friends, he waited like over a week to watch season 2, episode 10, because he could not handle it ending. And he was sending me text updates. He's like, I can't watch it. I can't. Because
I felt that though. You know what? I ain't gonna lie. I felt that because I knew once episode 10 happened, I was like, shit.
Like, this can't be the end. This can't be the end is all I remember watching the last episode. I'm like, please.
And like, I mean, Zeus, we were in the clubhouse, like how they were kind of talking about the season 3 stuff, possibly. Are you guys in Clubhouse? Are you guys in Clubhouse at all?
No, I don't have iPhone.
Okay,
I'm an Android girl.
So long story less long. Pretty much they were addressing because something that they were talking about, like they had a room. And then it turned into a whole nother room because half the cast has started jumping in anyways.
Yep.
And then I guess they just decided to talk about season 3, and they JT was saying like they're talking with people within HBO to kind of get it together. But see, this is where, hold on, chill, Steph. Wait a minute, because here's where I'm gonna burst. This is where I'm gonna burst the bubble a little bit. They were saying like even with these talks, like
still a long shot.
It's still a long shot based on a lot of the TV business bullshit in terms that he said he didn't even fully understand, that it might start getting in the way, and it may not even matter how much noise we make. Like it'll definitely do some good because it'll show like the amount of streams or the amount of views or the amount of, you know, Instagram or social media outcry for like, hey, we won season 3. They said this will, you know, more or less solidify, hey, there's an audience for this, but it's a matter of the red tape of the business end of the people who hold the power to be like, I don't know if we're really going to give it to you or not. And that's where currently the fight is. So he did acknowledge that talks are happening. Now it's just a matter of persuading the right people to actually greenlight it and say, yes, you will have your season 3.
Yeah, they had a financer on there in Hollywood, and he had
what a fucking smart guy, man.
What was his name? Doug, I think his name was.
I don't remember.
He was saying that they should try something new and go after the actual big execs there, and talk to them,
financiers, the executive financiers,
talk to investors, because investors are the ones that have the ear of the bigwigs and the decision makers at top. And if investors are saying, "Hey, I'm hearing a lot of talk about this show," and I also wonder why not? Why? And I know they do it to a certain extent, but it feels like they do it quietly. Why isn't it? They're more of a loud, this is an Asian representation show. We don't have one. What the fuck? Wake up, Hollywood! It's time.
But so someone and maybe is it just the politeness? But I mean, I agree. I don't know, like who needs to be louder, because to me, again, the entire topic and what I did do in my own little Facebook post is, if you were ever a Bruce Lee fan, how can you not support this? How can you not understand that Shannon almost went bankrupt to buying the rights back to her father's name? How can you call yourself a Bruce Lee fan and not watch this? And to me, it's an insult, and it's very representative of it's not mattering enough. Yeah. And that's what I get really enraged. Why should someone else be able to, let's talk about Kill Bill. So you have something that's going to have money thrown at it, which has quite a few points heavily based on Chinese martial arts. So why can money be thrown at that and not at something like this? So it's a matter of who's not bringing it to whose table to recognize how impactful this is.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of things that like Daniel Day Kim and Daniel Wu have been bringing up, and a few other actors within the industry. They're saying like, even though we've made little progresses here, we're still not fucking taken serious enough in the industry. Like you don't look at us as male leads. You don't look at us as like the fucking love interest. You don't look at us as, we're not still breaking stereotypes. And another thing which is kind of thing, and I've seen this in Clubhouse too, and that's its own little fuckery debacle in itself. But then you have like, in group fighting of like, there's an East Asian playing a Southeast Asian, and that's fucked up, and it's just all this infighting, and it's just like, whoa. Can we just say like we need a big win for all of us in fucking general, and just like start like we need this strong representation, and Warrior's been like one of the few fucking things that have actually did it correctly.
And look at the show too. It's all Chinese people. Like it's supposed to be all Chinese people, and you've got Vietnamese characters. Yeah. You've got Cambodian. You've got Filipino. You've got Japanese. Like, Richie Ting is Chinese and Japanese, right? So you've got Korean as well that are in there. Like the everybody. Yeah.
Everybody can eat. Okay. And that's what just, again, but still like the notoriety of Bruce Lee should have been automatic. Yeah. This really should have been automatic. So I push back at things like I really find it interesting how many people I know who, I'm just going to say it, are Bruce Lee wannabes. And you have people who all over the place and they don't even pay attention. So, somehow it has to get out there. It has to be, even more vocal. I don't know how else we do it. I'm doing it all over social media. We have people doing it over social media. Finally, I think the shift is to HBO Max. Now I'll see somebody post. I'll see somebody post about it, and then I'll say, have you not seen me speaking out about this for a while? And it also shows when people don't pay attention to what I'm saying about Asians. And, I don't need it should be, unspoken, but seeing strong male Chinese figures, strong Chinese female figures is huge for me. But then the scene where we see Chow's daughter.
Oh, you didn't like that? Well, because she's biracial, though, right?
It hit home.
That scene right there. I know we're jumping way episodes ahead, but wow, did that fucking? I feel you to be like, no, she's white. It's like, fuck me. I remember.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot, and I shouldn't say reminds me. Maybe that's a bad choice of words, but to me, it's very akin to Hollywood and anybody of any ethnicity, especially with an ethnic sounding last name. Back in the day, I'm thinking of Martin Sheen and Charlie Sheen, the Estevezes, if you will, Carlos, and I forget what Martin Sheen's actual first name is, but it's the farthest thing from Martin. Because
Emilio Estevez is the only one that actually held on to his real name.
Exactly. And good for him, right?
Quack.
And it's back, baby. It's back. but you do see it. You see a lot of that in Hollywood back in the day. But I'm loving, like, I want to give credit to now, and it sucks because it took this long. But now we're seeing people be proud and get hired because they have a strong ethnic sounding last name. You can use your last name. Matt Chua, you could go and get hired, and not have to change your last name to Matt John Smith.
People can suck my dick. I ain't changing my name for nobody. Y'all are crazy.
Oh, I have a quick name story for you. So, long story short, my parents were hippies, so like my birth certificate says just Stephanie Young, right? But my dad is Pratt, and so I go through the years like, all right, just mushed it to both because I love my hippie parents, but they didn't take care of it, right? Well, I posted hearts, okay, on Spike Lee posting about Biden's passing, the protection for Asian and Pacific Islanders. So I put hearts, and then he put like something else, and I said something back. If this isn't the funniest damn thing, someone took issue. So now that you guys get a gist of me, my Instagram, and I don't care, my Instagram is, you ready?
Yep.
Asian Hoppa Hip Hop Hippie.
That's a hell of a mouthful.
Hip hop hippie? That's awesome.
Can you say that 5 times fast without fucking up? Can you say your own Instagram handle 5 times fast without fucking up?
If you can say that 5 times fast without fucking up, I question the hippie portion of your name.
You are the new head of this show. Fucking.
Well, I actually commented on that post, and then I see notifications. I don't remember word for word, but someone proceeded to take issue with me and commented, "Yo, you're not Asian, you're white, because you need to change your username, you Rachel Dolezal." This is me. Who the fuck do you think you're talking to? Because that's when the Boston, scrappy Boston comes out in me, right? I didn't put fuck because this is Spike Lee, so I just did an asterisk, okay? I didn't write buck, okay? I was polite, and he said,
I would have been all right with it.
I would have spelled that whole thing out.
Again, right, I know. I was just trying to be a little respectful, right?
You should have done the right thing. No, I'm just kidding.
The whole name.
So
it out. I know, I should have. But Stephanie Young Pratt has both names on my Instagram profile. So his reply to me was, "You Pratt hip hoppy," making fun of it. I put up a post, and it was just, I went down the line. I said, "So really, my name offends you that much? Have you never met anyone biracial? I'm 50% Chinese. I'm first generation. So obviously, were you just looking for Asian chicks?"
Yeah, right.
You just going to click, and it's not, I wasn't the one you bargained for. But it really is representative of, these impressions and who people like, they chase after Asian women. Like it was a very good example, but also that ambiguity. You don't know me. And right. Rebecca, what you deal with too, that's been my whole life. And so that scene, and, passing or not, that, I mean, again, it's not my soapbox. I mean, so I'll shift off, but I may look brown and people think that I'm Latina. So on paper, I'm yellow and white, but people think I'm brown. So I get every insult. I've been called a greaser, which is, towards someone Mexican. I've get every insult you can imagine.
Now, I would say, like, if I was to guess, I would probably go Hawaiian or Samoan.
Right.
Just because you do have, and the only reason why I say that is because I watch way too much wrestling in my life, and I know a lot about Samoa, except for how to pronounce it properly, obviously.
Right.
Samoa. But yeah, it's that would be my guess, just because you carry yourself. I say a little similar as well, and you have the features. I was gonna say you look like The Rock's mom a bit, honestly.
Yo, I can't unsee that now. Holy shit!
Right?
What?
The Rock, you look like his mom.
No way.
No, but when she was younger.
She's so cute. And then there's a show. I mean, it's just, I'm loving seeing the diversity. I really am. And I don't care that it's because Rock has made it so big. Like seeing that and seeing people that are from here represented, I care about the people here and let's get into it. Okay. Why are there some similarities? Let's get into geographics. The Austronesian migration.
Yeah.
That's how some of the folks landed here in the Pacific, was the Austronesian migration from Southeast Asia.
Mm-hmm.
We're related. We're all related anyways. So,
yeah.
I'm British, so whatever.
Yeah, I'm Rachel Dolezal.
Yeah. Matt doesn't care. Matt's like, yeah.
I'm fucking beige. I'm Asian. I'm Bayesian. Whatever. I don't give a shit. I care.
I know, right? But we've got every shade too. We really do.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. And and like I said, that's one of the things I'm loving about this show is just not so much even like it comes at me as I'm 45. I'm a Gen Xer, so I'm from the 80s era of action movies and American Ninja and Enter the Dragon and all that shit. So the martial arts all speaks out to me, and the high intensity, the old school 80s style fighting without the wire work. I fucking love that shit. I love seeing the rate getting into it, but the story that it tells, and when I say the story, I mean the lesson that JT and Bruce and Shannon and Justin Lin are trying to bring to the world. It's a fucking shame if this show doesn't get a 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th season and a movie. I'm sorry. It needs 6 seasons and a movie. I'm sorry, Community. I know that's your thing, but this deserves it too. And we know JT said it in the thing last night. He's got 6 seasons written already.
He said he has up to season 3, 4, and 5 written.
Oh, okay. I thought he said he had 6. Yeah.
Oh, it was 6.
Yeah, well, I could have misheard that, but I thought I had seen him.
I thought he had up until like 5, and then that was going to be
Either way.
We're so saturated with reality TV and all these other things. And I mean, I'm not giving any disrespect, but we have such a wide range on all of these new platforms. So we really have diversified. There's no reason why they can say there's enough red tape to prevent it unless you really are someone really has it, is out against it. You know? Like, I mean, come on, there's no justification. Someone just really doesn't feel like paying attention. And they have to have approached some of the right people. So someone keeps like, why?
Yeah.
There's one thing that I think HBO Max released Kung Fu. It's another series. It's remake of the older
David Carradine one.
But is a woman now in the lead character.
Really?
Wait, hold on a second. Really?
Yeah. So I think they don't want 2 series about Kung Fu, HBO Max, something like that.
And is it called Kung Fu?
Yeah, it's Kung Fu. Something like that. I think the name is Kung Fu.
Huh.
Oh, well, now I'm checking for it right now as we talk.
Go ahead. Research that, Zeus. Get that shit.
HBO Max Kung Fu, huh?
I think yeah. But one thing that I was thinking when Stephanie was saying, I'm amazed that being something that was sketched by Bruce Lee that came to life, didn't just amaze the whole world, like, oh my God, there's a new series that, Bruce Lee wrote it. He created. They did.
Right.
They made it. Oh my God, I want to watch it. How did this did not happen? I can't understand.
I think it's in terms of like relating to it. So like, if it has anything to do with like Bruce Lee himself, then like it's like, oh yeah, absolutely. But if it's like maybe like something made off of him, even though like, say like, for example, like he wrote like the 8 pages scripts for it, and then he, his daughter finally was able to get it off the ground with everybody there, and then they went it over to HBO or Cinemax or whatever. Wait, what? Hold on.
The CW's Kung Fu remake.
Tony Chung. Okay, I'm not mad at the
No.
look right now. The CW's upcoming Kung Fu remake has found its newest cast member in hours on Tony Chung, who is the latest star to join the cast. The CW's Kung Fu?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, really? All right.
Only reimagines the plot with a female lead, Olivia Liang as Nikki Shen, a Chinese-American woman who drops out of college following a quarter-life crisis. A quarter-life crisis?
Wait, that's a thing?
Like, come on, man. Like, we Gen Xers don't even get to have midlife crises anymore.
Wait, I'm
You guys
confused.
get that? Like, what the shit?
Wait, I'm confused. So is he the star, or is this?
So he was just signed on as another cast member. She was the star.
What's her?
Olivia Liang. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that, which I'm sure I am.
Hey, if they keep it Asian, I'm cool with it. So
I'm looking her up right now. She's an actress known for Legacies. Let me.
Never watched Legacies.
No, neither have I. Tell you the truth. Let me see.
Nope, we
Here.
lost
Let's look together. Okay, I remember. I think I recognize her.
I mean, I'm still seeing this as a win.
Kung Fu. There it is, right there.
All right,
I don't hate it.
I'm not mad at this. That looks a little weird.
That was from Legacies. So she's
okay.
a CW actress.
Okay.
You know, they stick together, right? Like they.
Yeah, they kind of put their little rotation on everybody. It's like, oh, your show's not here. Yeah. You can come to this show.
There's Stephanie there. Sorry,
Stephanie.
Stephanie.
There you go. She's back.
No, I think I froze, so I just, I'm like,
oh,
right.
I thought you had to take a breather. Like, what the fuck is this? Hold on.
She's like, no, not CW.
I'm so done with this shit.
No, I mean, I want everybody to eat, and not for nothing, the little kid in me, I definitely watch the some of the CW shows. There's, like that's my rain release. I'm like, oh, good, vampires. Okay, good.
I'm a nerd, so I watch CW all the time.
Supernatural for me for CW. That was
I didn't dig into that. Oh, by the way, I did just I'm on vacation and staying in Hawaii for probably 2 months. But you know what arrived while I was away? What? I had to go ahead and order the Funko Pop. Is the gold Bruce Lee kick.
Oh, no way!
Oh, okay. I just had to. I just had to have it. I said this just needs to be in my home.
Did you guys read that book yet? Be Water, My Friend.
No,
when that came out.
No,
not yet.
I have it. It's so good.
Okay, I need to.
For reading material. If you guys want to check that out.
From my collection.
I don't understand how we can that to me that's just I want everybody to eat, but that's an insult. How many people? I mean, there are enough people who know the whole question mark of Kung Fu being or the ripoff, and I mean, like, come on. I mean, it's again what you're saying, Matt, and it's the fact that why we're not seen. Daniel Day Kim, the same things they're talking about. Why, when it's authentic to Asians, it's not flashy enough. But you already know. You already love martial arts. So that's not the question. There is a part that I think there are enough people that really don't understand that Asians need uplifting.
Yeah.
They don't understand. Like, they don't, like, we're still fetishized enough that it's they don't see that it's important. Like, how could you not see that that's really an insult?
Because we're not taken seriously enough. Like, let's just cut the bullshit. We're not taken seriously enough.
Is there any truth to the saying of Asians being the quiet race?
The model minority.
The model minority. Thank you.
There's a difference. There's a difference between being quiet and submissive and just knowing when to actually react to something. And I think it gets misconstrued a lot because just because we've been quiet, maybe it's not the fact that we don't want no trouble. It's just like, what half of this shit. What is?
The Father
Yeah.
Jun, Young Jun scene, you know, that spells it right out, you know?
Yeah, it's just like, why aren't we doing anything? Relax. Don't
You'll
worry.
learn. You'll learn,
You'll
young
get it.
grasshopper.
And then,
But
because even the other one, fucking, damn it, what the hell is Long Z's real? Is it just Long Z? I forget what the hell was his name in the. Anyway, he already knew he was gonna die. He's like, yo, prep up. They're gonna kill me. Like
Yeah.
he already knew.
For sure. Nathan Cochran says, Nathan is messaging in from Oklahoma today. Says, Jeremy Lin and Olivia Munn's recent statements made me realize a lot I was not aware of. I appreciate the guidance on these issues.
It's
yeah,
not
Nathan.
talked about. Let's, I mean, I know, like a few companies made their statements and said, like, they side with the Asian Americans, and everything that's been happening to the, all of us is no, absolutely not. We don't support this, and it's good that people are starting to kind of speak up more, but it's a very interesting thing that even with certain support from people, like there you go, like it's still not actually generating enough fucking, like, what's the word that I'm looking for?
Enough movement, enough action.
Yeah, it's just not loud enough for some reason. It doesn't. Yeah, noise. There you go. Simple fucking word, noise. It's generating
Noise. Yeah.
And it's crazy because it's just like, what more needs to be done? Like you can see everything for what it is. It's like, how are we all not mobilizing right now, or super quick to just be out there?
Just being so angry.
Yeah.
I guess it's hard to say because, and David, I'm happy you watched the first episode. I really want to know what you thought of it. So drop your thoughts in the comments there. And I say that
I like his photo.
I wonder about you guys get angry and shit like that, or why more aren't. But then I look sometimes and I feel sometimes I don't know if we go too far being too angry, or not even that we're not too angry, because being black or being Asian and dealing with what we've had to deal with, we have a right to be fucking angry. But my question is how it's perceived, that anger. And if that perception sometimes hurts us more than helps us, if that perception is making that one person who was kind of on the fence that could have been on our side, and then they start to feel attacked, I get that's on them. If they're feeling attacked, that's on them. But that doesn't help us if we lose another voice that could have been fighting on our side. And that's where I wonder about that delicate balance of anger, like being angry and being out there, and being, where's the balance?
Well, this is more of a stripped down format, and like the way that we are right now, like I can kind of be a little bit more freer in terms of how I feel, where it's just like I'm fucking furious with how everything is right now. Now, if I go out there, I'm gonna be able to definitely tailor my statements a lot more in a cleaner voice, but it's still gonna carry the same like attitude, and it's still gonna carry the same strength that I have with you guys all right now. I'm not gonna straight up say I'm fucking pissed and like shit needs to get fucking done and what the fuck is going on. A lot of fucks are gonna get pulled from this, but like it's just that, like, what is happening? Like why is this not getting taken as serious? And it's kind of like, I get people have their own opinions. I get that certain people don't want to kind of step in, and that's fine. Everybody has their own opinions on what they choose to not fight or fight. Not everybody's with all of it. But for the people that say why are you a little bit more silent now for this particular purpose? And it's a little concerning to me.
No doubt.
I'll say.
No doubt.
Steph, you look like you about to wild out. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, Asian people need to speak up, but I've already, I already told you, I mean, this is generational. It is still very, I mean, in some cities, very, 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 segregated. So you don't have people who really have the exposure as far as Asians, right? There's still there's a level of the conversation for the violence that has not happened. And this is the part that definitely has been a hurtful portion with that I've had some, not confrontations, but I've had to stand my ground with some people, a lot of people I know, representation wise. I am very involved in the Black community in Boston. And I support, like, I can't even tell you. It's just, and these are my friends that I'm having to push back and say, well, wait a minute. Okay, you want me to, I've supported you, and now I'm speaking up about something that's affecting, and I don't hear anybody saying anything. And now there's that conversation with someone that I may not care as much about, a closer friend, a couple of my close friends. I said right to them, two Black men, I said, you have seen the news. You see who a lot of the attackers have been. This part of this conversation, I have yet to hear somebody have this conversation. That I mentioned the model minority myth basically playing out three different ways, right? Three different, whatever, simplifying. But if you get it, everybody should go back and research the model minority myth, that this was a specific, campaign and agenda to lift up Asians to other minorities as docile, as look, here they go ahead and cooperate. That worked because now you have people who have the impression that they're like what Jeremy Lin said, that there aren't Asians in poverty. I was the poor Asian kid. So there's that assumption because, again, to our downfall, Asians have been, sometimes stick to our own, okay, in some cities. So without that exposure, I think it's easy to see that it's the immigrant mentality. Usually you see them sticking closer. You have shops where, they're Asian owned, but now I'm seeing a lot of comments all over social media. Why should we care when Asians are contributing to white supremacy? I saw one person.
Oh my God.
Oh, see, I haven't seen any of
that Asian folks are targeting Black folks, and that Asian folks target Black folks in Asian salons and everything. So I'm not going to have those debates, but with the people that I really, I know I can, I'm saying, you do know this. I said to those two friends, how many times have you heard someone make fun of someone Asian? How many times? And I went down the line and I said, how many times have you seen this happen right in our city? And I said, that level of that immigrant, here's the immigrant, here's someone down and out, here's someone down and out. What do? You go try and, it's a sociology experiment or something, because what do? You go target the one you perceive as weaker. Yeah. And that perception is there. So what are they doing? And they know that Asians do cash businesses, things like that. So there's enough of, well, there's that frustration. Now you have COVID and lockdown. People are strapped, are stressed, are trying to survive. And then all of a sudden, and you see one guy say that he's just going to go out and shoot an Asian today. So it's a level of, we already weren't seen as vocal. So it's easy to target us. Despite all of the other evidence otherwise, it's easy to target us. So you also see who they're deciding to, and quick and easy picks.
And we asked David what he thought about the first episode, and it kind of ties into what we're saying here. An unfortunate timeless relevance of tribalism and the myth of American exceptionalism, reminiscent of Bruce Lee's issues with Japanese racism. The fight, of course, were on point. Great show, and it brings up a lot of stuff, man. A lot of past history and a lot of things we're trying to get past. Rebecca, I do wonder, growing up in Brazil, you mentioned how it's not as prevalent there, and it's not something that you guys worry about as much. With that kind of mindset and mentality there in Brazil, how do you feel when you see things like this? Do you get the same amount of outrage that, say, Stephanie and Matt do when they see it and they're living in it and having to deal with it every day? or the fact that you don't have to deal with that, does that maybe lessen a little bit of the resent that you feel or outrage?
Well, my father was very bullied. No, he had lots of complexes. My generation is the generation where being Japanese is cool. Japanese food is cool. The culture is very, nice, but it wasn't in my father's time. So I was raised by a person that had a lot of issues. I think he didn't teach us Japanese because he was not so proud. I think he was like
Mm.
ashamed. He was like trying to hide himself and fit in the West civilization, trying
Right.
to be Western, and people don't see that. They think that we don't suffer racism, and that comparison I was talking about, like who suffers more, like Japanese weren't slaves. You didn't suffer as much as the black people, but we know what we suffer day by
Yeah.
day,
And I,
and there is some prejudice, the opposite. Like you have to be bright, you have to be good at math because you're Japanese, something like that. If you're not, like, why do you serve for?
right.
Why do I have a Japanese friend that doesn't cook for me? Why do I have a Japanese in the company if he doesn't, if he's not very good at math or something like that,
Yeah.
And just because we have this like model type, people think that it's a good thing. Another thing that I always I not always talk about it because it's too delicate, but women, Asian women, are very sexualized, you know.
Hmm.
So it's like other women say, but every man that I know would like to go out with a Japanese or something like that. Like if it's something good for me to hear, because I am stereotyped. It's not like I don't know. I don't want to explore this man
Yeah,
very
yeah.
largely, but people think that we always seen as a good thing, but we know the prejudice we suffer.
Hmm.
Someone said to my sister in high school, "What flavor Asian are you?"
I want to slap the shit out of somebody.
Right.
So I did. I mean, Rebecca, that really hits home because I became, like this level of attitude protecting my mother and my sister and myself.
Hmm. It,
Yep. Yep.
it's sad to see it. And I saw, I think Matt and Rebecca, we all saw your face when she mentioned how Asian women are sexualized. And that's, I mean, that goes back to, what was it? Platoon?
Yep.
Love You Long Time?
I
The,
cannot stand even hearing someone joking that
No,
song.
I know, and it's one of those things. Especially you and I aren't that far in age, where we that's what we saw. That's the way media portrayed everything, and then it was something that was joked about later. Like fuck, I remember seeing was it Mickey Rooney dressed up as a Japanese dude. And one of the most offensive things, seeing that is almost as offensive to me as seeing black people in comic books or cartoons back in the day when they made us look like we were just apes with pink lips that went up to down to their chins and up to their noses.
Oh, I got another one. And you said it. Propaganda media. There was, I don't remember the name of the candy, but there was some candy way back when. And the funny thing is, again, a Facebook post and social media allows people to show their ass because someone else posted this candy. Like, do you consider this racist?
Was it the N baby candies?
No, it was Asian. It was the Chinese. It was like a Fu Manchu guy, and I can't remember the original name of the candy. But this is me commenting on the post. Yes, that's racist. People debated with me on it.
Oh,
I've never heard the phrase model minority until Jeremy Lin used it in his statement. I do live in the South, so there's that. I had never ever considered the ideas, so I'm glad people are having this conversation because it is enlightening for those who haven't had their perceptions challenged.
Yep.
That is, you know what?
Beautiful,
I get that's
you.
from the South, but wow, I'm so used to that term. And for that to be like, I haven't heard that until Jeremy Lin. Like that's really eye opening to me. Like, holy shit, I didn't realize.
I'd never heard the term until Jeremy Lin had said it either.
What the
They
fuck?
specifically went out and hired, like they specifically hired specific Asians to then highlight them as,
shit.
oh look, here they're smart. I mean, this was this was long and ongoing.
I didn't see to me being like just around it, and then for this to be like something that's mind blowing to people that this is like their first time hearing it. I'm almost kind of a little like taken aback. Like, oh, really? Oh,
I'm
shit.
not surprised because how many people didn't know about the Tulsa massacre?
I didn't know until Watchmen, until the TV show.
Fuck me too.
I thought it was fictional. I thought they made it up until I run a geek page, cheap plug, whatever. But I'm telling you, when I posted the story, and I'm like, wait, what? This really happened? And this is something that the government didn't even teach in school in Oklahoma? You're going to tell me Tulsa, they didn't even teach the kids about what they did in their own...
We learned history. We just learned a version of history.
Well, and it's the old adage, history is written by the victors. It's not written by the truth tellers. It's written by the victors. And sometimes it's the truth. A lot of times it's just, hey, this is what makes the winners look good.
This is why we're fucking awesome.
We're number one.
We're number one. Yeah.
Yeah.
As I do I don't know if you guys got that. Fire it up. Fire it. So shout out to Brandon Lee. The crowd.
Well, I haven't heard about this model minority.
No, you never heard it either.
No.
Holy shit, this is crazy.
Here in Brazil, it's not a topic. I never heard about it. The first time I heard it was in the article where Vanity Fair, where Olivia Chen said that warrior took the model minority and flip it and eats ass. She said something like that.
This is so mind-boggling to me. This is crazy. I'm like learning something about this now. Like this.
Unfortunately, that's along the lines of like, redlining. I mean, it's what they were doing back in the day. This was very specific. This was deliberate. And that's why that scene that you brought up, Zeus, that's exactly the feeling. It's like they're scheming, they're figuring out those ways to pit them each against each other.
And it's been happening since the dawn of time, honestly, it seems like it. Nathan says, I went over everybody here. I think where I live, Asian women are viewed as a novelty. We had South Korean foreign exchange students my entire schooling. I never understood as a child why my parents were so protective of them, but even living on an Indian reservation, the Tulsa Massacre is taught in Oklahoma history. That blows my mind. You guys haven't heard of it. They did teach it. It wasn't in depth, but my school did teach it. I live in the Cherokee Nation capital, though. Understandable. And sorry, I had assumed that just because a lot of the people that I follow in the States that are news tellers and things like that, and then in media, Kevin Smith, things like that, they'd never heard of it either, right? And even Mark Bernardin, famed writer, hadn't heard of it. So I'm glad to hear that they were teaching it. It's too bad they didn't teach enough of it.
It's crazy how much we don't know.
It makes you wonder what other stories they haven't taught. And I go back to thinking here in Canada with the heritage moments, like I told you about, where they taught us at a young age, just in commercials, about the sacrifice that Chinese slaves made, helping to, get the railroads going, to build caves and mines and shit, sacrificing their lives for other people. I'm proud. That's one of the proudest things I have about being Canadian. One of the things that I honestly truly love. I feel that we're kind of getting away from it a bit, though. But when I was in grade 4, and it'll always stick with me, my teacher, Mrs. Farnsworth, she said the difference between Canada and the States is simple. In the States, you guys are a melting pot. You guys are proud of being a melting pot. Bring us your poor, your tired, your humbled masses, and come and assimilate to become American.
Not anymore, but yeah.
No, I know, it's still that way, though. Come and assimilate. Be us. Don't be you. But in Canada, we're a multicultural country where we say, come to Canada, bring your cultures with you. Respect ours, but we respect yours as well. And that has stuck with me since grade 4. And maybe a lot of that is being biracial, growing up in a city that was predominantly white. I think I was one of maybe 5 black people in the city, all different ages, so so to me, it stuck with me more. And I'm really proud of what Canada was, and I hope we're still kind of like that. We seem to be we're getting divided like the States are, because we're so close to you. But yeah, man, that's, to me, I wish the world was like that. Like, you be you, just don't listen. This is a horrible analogy, but we say it here. It's hockey talk. But hey, if you're a dude and you got a penis, it's all great to be proud to have that penis, but you don't need to be waving it in everybody's faces to show how proud you are of it, right? Just be you, be happy, and don't shove your dick in anyone's face. Your proverbial dick.
Yo, what the fuck?
You're welcome. You're welcome for that hockey talk. Nate says it surprises me that people aren't aware of the Trail of Tears. Indian removal was brutal, and we glance over it just like we do slavery and Japanese internment. It's understandable other countries view us as evil. We have done so many evil things. True.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Steph. I was just going to talk about in the 80s. Go ahead, though.
I mean, I think, again, the generation, sorry, a huge plane is going by. I had the hippie dad. So he's also the Buddhist. I mean, again, he, like I said, he tipped the scales. I mean, he was very involved with the Native community. So he would bring us to sweat lodges. And so he was very involved. So, I mean, that's the dad I had. So he would, really would go just the way he felt about the elders was just, that's what formulated my childhood, right? So you're not talking about his Irish Scottish elders. He's showing respect to a whole rainbow of cultures, okay, but also involving us. So when we went to Brookline High School, it was very diverse. As soon as we moved to that school, the first class I went into, there were reading Martin Luther King. Okay, so this is very diverse, right? Jump forward. We talk about who you had for a history teacher. I had a kick-ass black woman for a history teacher for my senior year in high school, and my senior paper was on Wounded Knee, and it was like this is like, that is why these things aren't new. The resources were there, but I so thank my parents for having the focus to bring us to that school system, because that then formulated the rest. But it also shows it was possible, people. These things are there. The history, we still only touched on a portion of it. What about the rest of the country? Yeah. Okay, that was a little microcosm. As soon as I left that school system, and then you get to college and it's not as diverse, and then you get into the working world and it's not as diverse, I had to go in the opposite direction that really we should be, right? And now that, well, you have COVID hit, notice how everybody's sort of shifting to those hippie philosophies,
Right.
and we should be more of coming around to that,
My
looking
favorite hippie
after each
philosophy.
other. Oh yes. Oh yeah. Okay.
Let me just butt in real quick, Rebecca. How are you holding up? Because what are you, 2 hours ahead of us, right? What time is it there? 1 a.m.
Yes.
Like, if you've got to bounce or anything, like if you need to leave, that's quite all right. I totally get it.
All right.
We've been going long, and it's 1 a.m. I feel bad for you. Yeah, you're good. Or
Trooper.
Wait, so where is everybody located right now? Well, I know you're in Brazil.
Pennsylvania.
And I'm in Niagara Falls area of Canada.
Gotcha.
Yeah, not bad. And you?
Well, usually Boston,
Hawaii.
but yeah. So, yeah, I mean, and talk about being in such a different place where you see the little old Asian folks, but they've got a Hawaiian accent. They're speaking pidgin. So they're like, hey, let that, it's so cute.
I love Hawaii. Hawaii is so beautiful.
Like, oos. What's up, oos?
They're so cute. They're so cute. And it's just, I'm around, every shade, so it's just awesome. And because there's so much Asian influence, everything's with 2 scoops of rice.
Right.
I'm happy.
Big
Yeah.
fan.
We got soy sauce everywhere. We've got ramen everywhere. I'm like, great.
Nice. And Hawaiian pizza everywhere. I'm totally kidding. Is there really a Hawaiian pizza there? Because it was invented in Canada, believe it or not. Which I don't know why it's called Hawaiian pizza if it was invented here.
It was?
Yeah.
I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you for a little bit. How dare you share that with the rest of the world? I should have kept right there.
What, the Canucks were behind the Hawaiian pizza?
I'm so disappointed.
What is this?
So
Hawaiian pizza?
It's ham and pineapple on pizza.
All right.
Trash.
I literally, I'm vegan now, so I don't really eat pizza anymore. But when I did, I'm telling you, I love pineapple on my pizza. But I also loved anchovies on my pizza, so I like that sweet and salty.
All right, I'm not mad at you at the anchovies. I'm not mad at you at the anchovies. I'm really mad at you about this pineapple shit.
Okay, I do this to Zeus all the time because I am not in the know. Although I am a Cherokee citizen, I don't understand myself a minority, or consider myself a minority. Is The Last Samurai culturally offensive? It's one of my favorite, but I have always wondered if it's culturally accurate or a Hollywood take. I can't speak on that myself. I know that some of the people I've spoke to of Asian descent love the movie as much as I do, but I don't know that that's across the board.
What's wrong with Tom Cruise, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't one where he was appropriating anything. He played an American soldier who was wounded and taken in by Ken Watanabe and learns the way of the samurai. And
I love him.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Watanabe, I love him too.
That sounds
and Brett Chan, who works on Warrior as a stunt coordinator and fight coordinator, worked on The Last Samurai. I interviewed him, and he actually punched Tom Cruise in the face.
That's hilarious.
So, yeah, which is awesome. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I love the movie. It's honestly, I put that in my top 5 movies of all time.
I've never.
That's how much I love that. I call it a film. But what about everybody else?
I've never seen it, so I really don't. I don't have an opinion on it.
Beautiful. I think it's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, as soon as you mentioned it, and I really pictured that scene where, just the landscaping of that village and the levels that they had, and just how majestic and just the process of him studying. I didn't think it was appropriate. I really thought it was. I thought it was well done, and seeing the relationships and the respect, and I mean, it's still a Hollywood movie, so it's still going to be that. I mean, you have the dynamic scenes and the battle scenes. I really that is really top one. I really thought it was very. It was just solid. It felt solid. It didn't feel fluff. It wasn't like, certain people were very dramatized.
Right.
You know what I mean? It felt balanced. I actually did.
Where the samurai were stopped. This was near the end of their tenure as being the Royal Guard or kind of like the first battalion for for the Japanese army. The Japanese army going more Western style with weapons and guns of that nature. So, but it's such, like you said, it's such a beautiful, beautiful story. It's so well done. Rebecca, have you seen it before?
Yeah, I love this movie. Yes.
Fuck, I haven't seen it.
It's a Hollywood movie, but actually, it tells about how the American soldiers, had a poor view of the samurai, and when Tom Cruise returned, he says, "You war with the savages. You might need a bath, something." And he was in the paradise,
Oh,
He
so
was in
beautiful.
such beautiful place, learning the beautiful culture and becoming samurai.
And also the finding out, and I can only speak from me growing up through the 70s and 80s and going through this through movies and stuff, but it always seems like honor had been such a big part of the samurai role, and to see that honor be such a huge part of that movie is, I think,
Mhm.
something that really moved me as well. And I don't care what people say about Tom Cruise. You can be a Scientologist all he wants. I don't care about his personal life. This guy can fucking act. I am sorry. I know a lot of people hate on Tom Cruise, but this guy is in more good movies. He does better acting in his movies than he doesn't. And that is few and far between, especially with someone who has such an extensive library of films like he does.
I will co-sign on that.
I
Absolutely.
think that may be one of my favorite films of his.
Yeah.
I mean, I really enjoy. I mean, I'm the, same thing, 80s. I mean, I was all through the risky business phase and all that time. But and all through his quirkiness and everything. But I think he really one of the top of his, because it really is. It's a beautiful movie. And it wasn't like I can't think of something that like irked me. But again, I'm not Japanese, but still, like, just the appreciation was there. Definitely.
Well, Matt, we all three of us definitely suggest that you watch it.
I've definitely heard the recommendation, so I'm gonna need to check this shit out.
If you're picking up what we're throwing down, well, we're vastly approaching the 2 hour mark, and we've already completed reviewing the show a while ago. But this was a lot of fun. This was a great panel. A lot of views, a lot of different points from all over the world where we are. And the one commonality is this great show that's brought us together.
Yes.
Yes.
Right there.
And yes,
So important.
I put it in the comments before. I'm going to put it here again. I don't know if you guys can click on it at all, but if you can, this is a petition on change.org to save Warrior and get a season 3. If you can, if you're watching this on one of the things, so you're going to see this in every single one of the links there. Please, folks, go sign. Get the word out there. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your kids, tell everybody, tell your teacher and your boss. I don't know anyone who's watched this that hasn't liked the show or, like us, loved it. Go out, let's save it. I just want to say big thank you, Stephanie Young, Matt Chua, Rebecca Nishi. Thank you all for coming in and being part of the Hop Wei Show. This is the Hop Wei.
Oh, it totally is. Oh, it totally is. Totally is. This is so much fun. Thank you. I didn't even expect this. I'm like, oh, this looks fun. This is fabulous. This is great.
I'm glad you guys had a good time. The invitation's out there, Matt. I know I will be talking to you again for sure.
Oh, absolutely. It felt good to be back.
Yeah, man. And it would have been quicker, but I am an old man who went back to school. So, and I'm doing an internship. So I've been working at a news station here in Canada. So I've been very busy with that homework. My son just turned 21 today, and my daughter turned 17 2 days ago. So it's been a busy time. So, but we'll hopefully have the next show. Maybe this time next Sunday, we'll be able to come back in and review episode 3.
I'm gonna
I
do
have
my
a ring-
homework for the next one.
That's right. Do your homework. Watch episode 3 again before next episode. Or
I
our
do
next
have it as my ringtone now. The theme song is my ringtone now.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm still trying to find a copy of the Little Green Bag, the Chinese version they did, the rap.
Oh, yes, please.
Like, if I can find that, and I've downloaded the soundtrack a million times, I can't find it anywhere. I tried Shazamming it, can't find it. So, but if I do, I will share it with all of you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anyways, from Matt, from Rebecca, from Stephanie, it's your boy Zeus, saying this is the Hop Way. Peace.
Please.
It was great.